It's like, okay, you know when you go to someone's wedding,
Yeah.
and then part of their wedding speech, they say their school pledge.
Yeah, yes. Actually, yeah, that has.
Then I'm like, walao.
I've heard that. I believe that has happened for. Not the school pledge, at least the school motto, they shouting it.
Then all the people in the crowd,
almost standing out to do the haka and everything. I was like, what the hell?
Then I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
It's 2025, which means it's finally SG60, i.e. Singapore's 60th birthday. Now, to celebrate this milestone, we are recording interviews with 60 Singaporean seniors over the age of 60 to capture their life stories and lessons. So basically, 60 with 60 for 60. The project is called Words of Wisdom, and it's powered by our private podcasting service, Folklories. And now we need your help because we want to talk to everybody. So far, we have interviewed CFOs, tennis coaches, religious leaders, taxi drivers, and many others. So if you know a Singaporean above 60 with an unforgettable life story, nominate them to be interviewed. And if you think you are the perfect candidate yourself, don't be shy. Go ahead and nominate yourself at the link in the description. Each recording is done remotely and takes only 30 minutes. But the words of wisdom captured will last for a lifetime. And now, on to the podcast. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Yala, your thrice weekly podcast where we talk about the hottest news with a touch of what, Terrence?
Good old humor.
Good old humor, man.
Yeah.
What's up, man? How's the week?
Well, like getting caught in the rain earlier this week and everything. Put a dampener on my immune system. That's for sure.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did get caught on Monday, Wednesday.
2 days ago. Yeah. Like really like hardcore in the rain, running in the rain and drenched. Then after that, I went to a meeting where aircon was at full blast.
Oh yeah.
I remember like trying to talk and then halfway just like starting to shiver a little bit. Quiver. And not because I was like nervous or anything, but like literally just the chills.
It was a cold room. Room.
And this weekend's going to be like that again, right?
So now you're under the weather.
A bit, yeah. That's what it means, under the weather.
Under the weather.
But it's interesting, I think as you age, just one instance of, where your immune system, there's this opening for
the germs
to come and all. Just one short opening and that's it already, it comes to you.
That's true.
Yeah.
I remember being in that room and feeling fucking cold also. But I mean, the monsoon surge was supposed to start today, 17th, but it was pretty sunny when I came.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it's going to turn by the afternoon.
Yeah.
But yeah lah, I mean, see lah, like it feels like very, very incidental that it's just 2 weekends.
Correct. Like it really wants to kill everyone's weekend plans, right?
Yeah.
It's Chinese New Year.
And we got feedback from that one person we know who, we supposed would have a shitty weekend because he runs an F&B business.
Yeah.
He told us he did have a shitty weekend. So, I mean, if the monsoon surge happens again, good luck to you, my friend.
More shitty weekends.
to I mean, again, for the Chinese New Year stalls, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
I would imagine now will be boom time. But, shut up.
But I believe over the years, it's evolved. Now the bigger Chinese New Year gatherings or like the fairs and bazaars are indoors. Like, at Takashimaya, the main square. And it's interesting because they don't bring all their wares to Takashimaya, obviously. So you just go there and you are ordering from them and then you go and pick up at a later date.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, so that's how it works now. There's usually a store front where you order from, but actually the actual tarts or jam tarts or whatever you get is like 2 weeks later.
Oh, thank you, Terrence.
Just getting you part of the conversation.
My language,
exactly.
Bro.
I want to exclude you from the conversation by using the
pineapple tarts.
Factually accurate
what is a pineapple tart? Yeah, correct. So that means and like the typical Chinese New Year wares is like, of course, the pineapple tarts. There's that prawn heavy ham rolls.
Yeah, heavy ham.
So you're talking about food lah, but
food.
But any like non-food, non-perishables.
I mean, Chinese New Year decorations. But usually it's the food that's what everyone's like queuing up to like try and order.
Bakwa and all.
And it's crazy to me like how much demand there is for it that you have to order like 3-4 weeks in advance, right? And you're paying pretty exorbitant prices, but that's Chinese New Year.
Are you looking forward to Chinese New Year?
I'm not a big fan of like the snacking, that's for sure. Chinese New Year, like Chinese New Year snacks in general. I know they taste good and everything, but they're terrible for your throat, terrible for your health. Yeah, so I'm not huge on it.
But at one point, like I mean, I have my favorites. It's just the heavy ham. Everything else is like too sweet lah.
Oh, you mean favorite snacks?
Favorite snack.
Okay. I thought you meant like favorite festivals, and you're going to tell me about how Deepavali meant like the world to you.
Why
when
you think
were young.
Deepavali is my favorite festival?
I just assume. Okay, Diwali. Sorry, Diwali.
No, Diwali / Deepavali. Why I must assume that is my favorite festival?
No, the ethnic
My favorite
New Year.
food is curry, is it?
The ethnic New Year. If you asked me if Chinese New Year was one of my favorite festivals, I wouldn't flinch. I'll be like, that's a legitimate question, right?
I mean, but no, I would assume like it can be any festival because sometimes your own festival is less fun than someone else's festival.
You're talking about Christmas, is it?
Yeah, Christmas or even like, I like Chinese New Year because I mean I don't have to do any visiting.
Okay.
So then I just chill, enjoy the holiday lah.
Do you feel left out during that period when your Chinese friends don't text you or anything?
No, then I just meet up with my Malay and Indian friends.
There's a one window where everyone is free to meet up.
I remember this one weekend where me and my Malay and Indian friends literally were like, okay, let's go to the beach. Because, I mean, Chinese New Year, most Singaporeans will be visiting. We go there, beach fucking full of Malays and Indians.
Isn't there some...
Oh my God.
On that note, isn't there some festival coming up, I think at the Ganges River in India?
Yeah.
Where it's like going to be 400,000 people, the largest gathering of people together.
Yes.
Something like that. Because I believe it's like a festival that's held only every 12 years. So it's that rare. It's even more rare than the World Cup or the Olympics.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, every 12 years, man.
So there's one festival, it is the Pongal. I thought Pongal happens every year.
This one is like going to break records. It's like once every 12 years, largest gathering of people of all time or something like that. Yeah, at the Ganges River and all.
I see. 47,000 visitors. So it's the Pongal rush lah.
So it's not 400,000, it's 47,000. But 47,000.
No, but that is just one zoological park. So one zoo lah.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it is a big festival, but I didn't know it happens only 12 years.
Okay. I think now I've given you the seat. You can go and like read up about your own culture a little bit
and
more.
be schooled. Be schooled. No, I mean, talking about numbers, like there was a stat. You know how many Singaporeans went to Japan last year?
It must be an insane amount, but tell me what.
691,000.
Oh, that's crazy. That's
insane. That's more than like 10%.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man.
I was one of those numbers. I was one that 690.
I know someone who contributed to that number 3 times. So it might be the same Singaporeans going more than once. But it's just an insane number. 691,000.
Tourism in Japan is
holy
booming.
Shit. I mean, deservedly, like, because Japan's awesome.
Yeah.
Japan's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. Cool.
Here we are on the cusp of Chinese New Year.
On the cusp.
Yeah.
Which is like less than 2 weeks away.
Yes, that's right.
Less than 2 weeks away. I mean, we do have stuff to talk about as always. But before we jump into it, what's our spiel, Terence?
If you're new here, please like, share, follow, subscribe. Tell the algorithm like you like this podcast because that helps us out a lot, right?
Yep. And if you want to work with us, just drop us a message at contact@ministryoffunny.com or go to ministryoffunny.com and drop us a message there.
Yeah.
Cool.
Cool.
Okay. So, the first topic. I mean, it's yet another survey. But I mean, it has to do with something that's definitely happening this year, which is the next general election. And it is a survey that was released on Thursday, January 16th, so yesterday, done by Blackbox Research, which is a research company in Singapore. They have a sentiment tracker called Sensing SG, which is it's something that was launched in October 2023, and there are quarterly surveys tracking and updating responses to create meaningful measures of public opinion across a range of core issues impacting the community. So they got like the Good Governance Meter, Optimism Index, the Media Monitor. So this survey specifically looked at 1,310 Singaporeans eligible to vote this year.
Yeah.
And some big things that are forming the headlines is that cost of living tops Singaporeans' concerns ahead of GE, while 1 in 4 voters undecided on who to support.
Yeah.
So there's more stuff that we can drill down into, but what made you want to talk about this, Terence?
I mean, it kind of tells you like what I think this is helpful for all the parties that are going to contest the elections, right? Because it really tells you what you should and maybe should not focus on in this election. So, for example, focusing on political scandals. Actually, the scandals have not been at top of mind for a lot of people in this survey, right? In fact, even the news of the scandal is not even that interesting to them compared to other things that have happened recently, like Donald Trump getting elected and all. So it kind of tells you that, it's really down to the bread and butter issues, as much as that's a bit of a cliche, but, Singaporeans, very pragmatic, practical lot of people, and, focusing on things like integrity of, the people running and all that might actually not be as effective as you would like.
Yeah. But I mean, there is some impact to that, which we can get to.
Yeah.
But building on that, the top concerns of Singapore voters, according to the survey, so all the respondents were asked to share their top 2 concerns heading into the ballot and to choose from a range of options. So the top concern was the cost of living and inflation. So almost 35%.
Yeah.
Jobs and employment was next, 15+%. Economy, 15%. Political stability and consistency, 14%. Trust in a political party, 13.5%. Leadership of current government, 11.6%. Housing costs, 11.5%. And need for fresh thinking, defense and national security, support for those on lower incomes, between 7.9 to 8.2% for each of those 3 things. So I mean, in some way you could argue that, how come housing costs so low, but cost of living and inflation is higher? But cost of living and inflation impacts everybody. Housing costs probably are the people who are just looking to upgrade or downsize and all that.
Yeah.
But I guess what you were saying about the political scandals, that would fall under what? Trust in a political party, leadership of current government?
Possibly. I think, for example, when they asked what's trending with Singaporeans, how interested are you in the following news topics, right? For example, Donald Trump winning the election far and away. I think that was the most interested that people were in the topic. And you'd have to go quite far below to like number 5 for the trial of Pritam Singh for allegedly lying to the COP to see one of these political scandals come up. And that's why I was saying that maybe in terms of like the political strategy going forward, right? It's really for them to focus on big picture events like cost of living, how does Donald Trump's election affect Singapore, how US-China relations and everything like that. Maybe focusing on that is a lot more important than focusing on the individual issues of like individual politicians, the integrity of individual politicians and things like that. That's what I took away from this. But maybe your interpretation might be different.
But just one question, where did you see the Donald Trump thing? Because I got all my tabs open, man.
Okay, I'm at the Sensing SG What Matters to Singapore, January 2025. There's it's an interactive page, right?
Oh, so I'm looking at the report.
Oh, you looking at the report. I'm looking at the interactive page where you can
you can drill down into...
You can drill down into individual things. You can even, look at different age demographics, for example. And it's very telling about certain things. It really tells you that, people in their 20s, the younger voters, a big number of them are undecided or they don't even know what the hell they're doing for this election, right?
Okay, got it. So, so Terrence is like drilling down, man. I mean, this thing literally, you can... filter by gender, by age group, by region, by monthly household income. And I mean, this is the kind of survey that I like. You can literally almost make your own deductions.
Yeah.
So how interested are you in the following news topics?
Yeah.
Oh, that is interesting.
So the interesting thing there is that there is, when they ask people what matters to them when it comes to voting, and don't quote me exactly because this is probably paraphrasing, they do also differentiate between people who vote based on, political party versus voting based on like who the individual politicians in your constituency, right? And there is a large percentage of people, in fact, a whole like 21% that say our government and the PAP is doing a good job. There's no other credible party to lead us forward anyway. So that's 21%, and there's also a segment of like around another 21% that says, I know the PAP will win the next election regardless of how I vote, but it's good to vote for the opposition to keep the PAP on their toes and not take voters for granted. So they drill down to exactly like, these sentiments that people have about how they're going to vote, which I found very interesting. That tells you that, let's say if let's throw the focus on Pritam Singh and his integrity issues when it comes to Raisa Khan, does that really move the needle, right? Compared to really talking about PAP's vision or your party's vision or how you're going to form shadow government and things like that, right? Providing a credible vision for the future. So, in one way, politics can be handled in a number of ways, right? And I think this survey does help inform a little bit.
Yeah, there is not. They should focusing on the gutter politics and all that. Probably not in the best interest,
Yeah. But that said, when we say gutter, at the same time, integrity of the party and all is also very important, right?
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that people maybe the brand of your party could be more important than all these little individual misgivings, like the sex scandals or the corruption scandals, things like that seem to have dominated headlines and all, but might not actually figure that much in people's voting decisions.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, at the same time, like there was one tangible impact of some of the scandals. So apparently Pritam Singh has experienced a dip in his approval ratings. And I mean, it still stands at 63%, 10 points behind PM Wong, who actually seems to fare quite well. 3 in 4 Singaporeans approve of how he's performing in his role as PM. But for Pritam Singh to have that dip in approval, right, I think it says something. And I also feel that as much as these scandals and all might not have a direct impact, right, I think it might affect every other line item a bit more in a qualitative way. And I say that because okay, so one thing, the cost of living, yes, it is an issue. And if you look in every country, it is a big issue. But I think for Singapore specifically, because there is always this talk, I mean, okay, less now than previously, but minister salaries, ministers being disconnected from reality, the black and white houses and all that. I do think that feeds into people's perceptions or anger towards the cost of living. And that is not something that's really captured by this survey. I don't know whether you can actually capture it at all, but it feels like those sort of things, like as much as like what you say, and I agree also, like if you focus just on the scandals and all, it's not in the best interest of anyone. But I think that unfortunately does have an impact, those scandals.
I mean, I'm just looking at the numbers. I can't...
Yeah, this is just my own sentiment about it.
Your coffee shop uncle.
No, because I saw one analysis of I think the US elections, and you know how Ben Shapiro has his one phrase that has been made popular, like facts don't care about your feelings. Right. So that writer was going against it. He said actually feelings don't care about your facts. And people vote the large part in feelings, and you can tell them the facts, but sometimes the feeling is what overrides the facts.
Sure.
So I get that these sort of surveys can never really quantify feelings, but it's still very interesting because some things I found quite surprising. Feels like generally across the board, people felt that 2024 was better than 2023. Actually, no, I wouldn't say that was surprising. We can imagine why. And then the outlook for 2025 also seems like people are relatively positive. Right, relatively positive.
I think the big shocker for me was, on balance, do you think the election of Donald Trump will prove to be a positive or negative for Singapore? Across the board, young or old, overwhelmingly positive. Across the board, young or old.
Across the board,
in fact, the general number is about 70 to 30%. So 70% of Singaporeans surveyed think that Donald Trump being elected will prove to be a good thing for Singapore. Puzzling, a bit puzzling. I do know that there are a large swath of people, even people who listen to podcasts, who are Trump supporters and all. I may not say Trump supporters, but they feel that the US maybe swung too much in a certain direction and need to be reined back a bit. But even young people, when you break down this age, you think young people, who are very so-called woke and everything, might be a bit more worried about someone like Donald Trump coming to power.
Positive.
No, even people in the 20s, overwhelmingly positive, 70-30, same percentage.
I know previously I did say that, with Trump being elected, it felt like, this is almost a new era, which means that there's a bit of excitement to see what it unfolds. But if I had to answer this, I would say completely negative.
Yeah.
For you?
Yeah. I mean, just from everything we know about the tariffs that they want to bring on, and generally how the focus on Southeast Asia won't be there anymore, right?
Do you see the grilling of the Pentagon nominee?
Seth, right?
Yeah, I don't think he even knows the countries in ASEAN.
He does. I think he doesn't even know what ASEAN is. Like, you mean Asia or ASEAN? Asia?
So for context, this is the nominee to run the Pentagon, the Director of Defense,
Yeah, that's right.
Who was grilled by the Senate, just to prove his worth. And I think it was a Democratic
the Secretary of Defense itself.
Secretary of Defense.
Secretary of Defense,
which is the
very highest level
Commander-in-Chief, right?
Military ranking.
Yeah, and it was a Democratic senator who asked about, what does he feel? Can he name one deal with or one agreement with a ASEAN country that is beneficial, or what is its impact on the US? And I think he said, can you tell me how many countries are in ASEAN? And he couldn't answer.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that gives a bit more context about where ASEAN falls in the eyes of the US.
Correct. We're not a priority. And in some ways, maybe Donald Trump coming to power also in no uncertain terms tells us that we also need to maybe move away from reliance of a relationship with the US for security and all, right? That this is Donald Trump won very overwhelmingly as well. This tells you what people in the US also want for themselves, right? More protectionist policies, taking care of themselves, America first. And that's, now we know, okay, the cards are all on the table. We need to adjust accordingly. In that sense, you could see it as a positive.
Yeah, right? Until they find out that now, because we don't have a defense backup, NS is 3 years.
Exactly.
Then they'll be like, oh, fuck this shit, man.
Yeah.
Screw it.
Yeah.
But I mean, the one trend also that was not surprising was that the younger the demographic, the less sure they are of who they're going to vote. Right? And the less well off the demographic, the less sure they're going to of who they're going to vote also.
Yeah.
Which, right. I mean, you can kind of understand. If you're higher to upper middle to higher income, you probably like how things are going in Singapore. I know that's a blanket statement, but I would assume that that's the case. In fact, you don't want things to change because the system works for you.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're at the other spectrum, you're like, no, man, you want something to change. Yeah. So I mean, of course, I'm wondering, like, this Blackbox Research and all, like, are they purely independent and whatnot?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, seems like it.
Yeah.
But I mean, kudos to them. This survey actually is quite useful because you see a whole bunch of surveys that are sometimes just useless.
Yeah. But I mean, what do you think about these so-called undecided voters? Do you think, entirely speculation, but do you think they are really undecided, or they just don't dare to
for the survey?
Don't dare to say what they really feel for the survey? I
think there'll probably be some people like that. Because I mean, you never know now. You think your NRIC is like not identifier or authenticator and all. Still, there's that. I think people maybe are a bit more like, okay, everything is traceable to me in some way, so maybe let me not show my allegiance. But I can imagine actually just people not sure. And there was one stat that what matters more to people are the MPs representing them or the people running in their GRC and SMC.
Yeah.
So maybe that's why they're unsure.
Yeah.
Because the electoral boundaries haven't been drawn yet. Right? So you don't even know who you might be voting for. So then you're unsure.
And they're just starting to roll out some of the new faces that probably run in the election as well.
Yeah,
we're seeing the news about it.
Yeah, maybe for them, even if they support like one like very strongly, if in their own GRC or SMC it's someone they really cannot get behind, then it might change their vote, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, one thing also, I think the in terms of the happiness with the MPs of their GRC and SMC, I think the west of Singapore is less happy.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, they don't have the anchor of Tharman anymore, right?
And Iswaran also, right?
I mean, Iswaran anchor, or he used to be an anchor, maybe. He
used to be
but that would be interesting because they only narrowly won the last election for Iswaran's GRC.
Yeah.
Tharman was the biggest margin, right? Jurong West.
But I think he's built so much goodwill over the years.
Untouchable.
It's untouchable. From what I hear, people on the ground they just literally, I mean, it's Taman Jurong, right? Like one of the places is just called Taman Jurong, but they have like nicknamed it Tharman Jurong.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, like almost 17.8% of residents in the West have rated their parliamentarians' performance negatively. Constituents in the central part of Singapore are the most satisfied, with over 90% saying their MPs have done a good job. Older Singaporeans aged 60 and up were the most dissatisfied with their MPs. And 91% of respondents in their 20s and 30s found their MPs' performance favorable. And this is across PAP and opposition.
Yeah. One thing is that, we talk a lot about these places and all, right? And we have general, perceptions of what these places are like. I think it'd be interesting to actually go down to these places and like look at them for ourselves at some point, right?
Yeah.
Maybe at some point we need to do that.
Maybe at some point.
To really understand what the feeling on the ground is like. Even just walk the ground or just look at what the place feels like.
Yeah.
And then maybe try to get a little bit of sense of why people are happy or unhappy at certain parts. Right?
Yeah. Because, I mean, even in like Hougang, right?
Yeah.
There is one part, between Hougang and Kovan and Serangoon, there is the WP controlled, WP where WP runs it and where PAP runs it.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't think it's just my mind, but when you go, there's a different vibe.
Different vibe, yeah.
There's a different, like the air smells different also.
Yeah.
Not saying one is better than the other, but yeah, like that's something that I think when your previous elections, you just watch on TV, right?
Yeah.
Being on the ground, something.
Different.
That is something.
The statistics can't tell you anything, right?
Yeah.
You need to be on the ground to feel it. But that's it, right? I was a bit disappointed when there's a particular statistic about how people get their news. And, podcasts are one of the mediums. Apparently, according to the statistic, right? Obviously, for everyone, the number one, for most people, most Singaporeans consume news and media through online news sites like STC and A Today. Then it's TV, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, print newspapers, TikTok, foreign online news sites, WhatsApp, Telegram, radio, Reddit, X, then podcasts.
Yeah.
So podcasts rank very, very far down below.
Very far.
Very, very far. Only 50 plus responses, I think.
I mean, the good thing is that it is increasing from September 2023 to January 2025, which can't be said about the local news sites and TV.
Correct.
All of which are decreasing.
Yeah.
Facebook, relatively consistent. TikTok is increasing quite a bit.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, that's why we got the TikTok and YouTube lah.
Yeah.
TikTok and Instagram.
But I would say also that YouTube is a big source, right? So for us, we have spoken about it where YouTube is a very different demographic of listeners from our Spotify podcast as well. So I'm just curious whether this particular survey takes into account that people post on multiple platforms too, right? But I guess what's interesting is how the Singaporeans are receiving it. When you say podcast, I think it's probably Spotify and Apple Podcast specific. Yeah. So when you talk about YouTube, it's YouTube. So YouTube is a very big factor.
I was surprised at X. Like it's grown quite a bit.
Yeah.
Like X, you think is very Western centric, right?
Yeah.
But no, man, it's growing in Singapore.
Community notes, man. That's the best thing ever.
And Facebook, Facebook, I guess still. I mean, Yalabat is not on Facebook at all.
Ministry of Funny, yes.
Yeah, but we don't post Ministry of Funny stuff.
But maybe that's where, we need to get on Facebook.
We got to go back to Facebook, man. I mean, our Ministry of Funny page has like 50,000 likes, which is no small number.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe we convert it to Yalabat.
I just post our Yalabat stuff on Ministry of Funny. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But, when you actually carve out the groups to a younger age group of the people in their 20s, Instagram rises towards the top as one of the top ways they get the news. Instagram, like 5 years ago, Instagram was all about thirst traps and everything. Now it's like where people get the political news from.
I mean, you get a mix. You get news, thirst trap. News, thirst trap.
Yeah.
Some people like the balance, Terence.
If only we were thirst traps, then it'd be like thirst trap plus news at the same time.
Maybe that's how we need to rebrand. We're not talking to the the thirsty audience.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, thirst trap and news. But yeah, I mean, interesting survey. I mean, interesting also because, next week it's going to be a new world. It's going to be a new world, new big change of Donald Trump coming into presidency. Apparently
TikTok gone.
TikTok, likely
TikTok in the
to
US
be
right?
banned. Have you heard the two things that are mulling around TikTok?
What?
Apparently, so one theory is that Elon Musk might buy the US arm of TikTok.
Okay.
I mean, I saw that first come up, then I saw it dispelled by TikTok. But I mean, those are rumors. Then the other one is Mr. Beast. No?
Mr. Beast.
Yeah, apparently he tweeted as a joke about it, but then some people started reaching out, and now there's gathering momentum that he and a bunch of other investors might buy the TikTok US.
Wow.
Yeah. Consolidation of power, dude. But yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
But yeah, next week.
I mean, there are all these memes going about, like, because there's an Israel-Hamas ceasefire, right?
Yeah.
There are all these memes coming up about what are young people going to do now? You know, they've got nothing to protest against it.
But apparently the ceasefire, like Netanyahu last minute has kind of
I don't know. I haven't
thrown a
even
spanner in the works.
I don't even know what is going on right now.
Then there was a protest at NUS that is now being investigated.
The shoes one.
Yeah, the shoes one.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
like what you said, next week the world's going to be different.
Next week the world is going to be different.
Yeah.
Facebook will be like, fuck you, check your own facts. But in the US,
Yeah.
I think overseas still they will have the international fact checkers.
Yeah. So talking about things that move the needle for the election, big, grandiose gestures and everything. This Singaporean man has probably done one of the biggest gestures you can do for a political party by bringing a particular flag up a certain mountain, towards a certain mountain, right? And what is this? What has this man done?
So it is this man is Yusof Latif. He's a 55-year-old gentleman who recently conquered Everest Base Camp, which is not an easy thing to do, and while he was there, he brought a flag. It wasn't the Singaporean flag.
Yeah.
It was something like a flag that represents where his heart really lies. It was the flag of the PAP.
Yes.
And as well as the Marine Parade 50th anniversary flag during his second ascent to Mount Everest Base Camp. So I think he did it the first time 25 years ago.
Yeah.
And then now 25 years later, he and a bunch of friends trekked over 16 days to base camp. 8 to 9 hours, 7 to 9 hours a day of trekking. One day was 14 to 16 hours. So it's not easy. I know some friends who have also gone to base camp and they say, it's not easy.
Yeah.
But he did it. But then he there was a video of him that was released on patir.sg, which is the government publication.
PAP newsletter.
Yeah, PAP newsletter. Yeah. So he was talking about the trip and how he brought the flag there to coincide with the Marine Parade's 50th anniversary, and very proudly he left it there so that it's be part of base camp.
Yeah.
And he also, in his words, said it was to honor a tribute to ESM Goh Chok Tong and Tan Si Leng, because he's been working as a Marine Parade branch secretary for years already.
Yeah.
And he had started off as a branch secretary when Goh Chok Tong was overseeing Marine Parade. So he wanted to do it to, celebrate the work that his party has done in the constituency that he so dearly loves. Yeah. I know you got a smile on your face. Yeah. Because
you got a smirk
on your face. No. I can foresee you bringing up something. So yeah, I've been talking for. So go on, Terence.
No, I mean I did. I mean, you go online to kind of to kind of gauge the sentiments of people.
Yeah.
On Reddit, the top voted comment is, "This is S tier ball carrying."
I don't get the S tier.
Sorry, let's go to our resident Gen Z consultant. What does S tier mean, Tristan? The best.
But why S?
Yeah, why S tier?
But why not T then?
Okay. Top tier and absolute best on most critical items.
Oh, could be a V tier or W tier. No, it's S tier.
Yeah. Special or super.
Super Saiyan.
Yeah.
S tier ball carrying.
S tier ball carrying. But then again, I mean, that's funny, right? It's because you think about it. In any situation, when you're working in, let's say when you were working in a big organization and everything, have you ever taken
a symbol
or a flag of your organization with you as you went to, conquer certain unknowns in nature? Tell us, Harish, you are perfectly positioned for this.
Okay, so many things to unpack. I did carry a symbol with me when I went on. I mean, some of you may have heard, some of you may not have heard that years ago I did something in Iceland when I was working at my previous company, Scoot lah.
Sure.
And part of the agreement that I did with my company to get some funding for the trip was to shave a yellow airplane into my head lah.
Yeah. Correct. Yeah.
I mean, literally, it was a airplane on the top of my head that was dyed yellow.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, it looked less like an airplane, but more like a dead squirrel or something.
Yeah. I remember that.
Yeah, it was on my head lah.
Yeah.
So in that way, yes, I did bring a symbol with me because that was part of the agreement to get some subsidy to go on the trip lah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So was that S-tier ball carrying that you were doing?
Yeah, so okay, let me preface this because a few episodes ago, we had this debate whether or not like me going to Iceland and raising money was narcissistic lah.
Yeah.
And I was very adamant that it was not lah.
Correct.
But since then, I won't deny that I have been reflecting on it. And at this point, I think I have to say that it's a bit narcissistic.
Well, what has brought you to this state of enlightenment? Please tell us, which tree did you sit under for the past 2 weeks?
I can't believe this, but I have to admit it lah, because I wouldn't say it was a single thing. It was something that, whenever we have these debates like this, as much as people might think, oh, we just brush it off. No, I think I always take back and reflect, and I know you do too.
Yeah.
So in this case, I was like, okay lah, like maybe back then, it's like, now when you're shouting about some amazing thing, maybe it's also because everybody's sick of like people humble bragging on social media.
Yeah.
That you see someone doing something like, oh, they say it's damn epic. Yes, part of you might be happy for them, but part of you is like, fuck off lah, okay? Just go do your shit lah.
Just do it lah.
So I would still say that, yes, I still am happy that I could raise some money, but yeah lah, there was that narcissistic element to it lah, which I won't deny lah. But I'll also qualify that was like 11 years ago. I was young, I was impressionable, I wanted to get laid. So all those things, right, factored into me thinking like, oh, actually, like people should revel in my desire to do this lah.
Okay. Well, I have to applaud you for your self-awareness there lah.
I was dreading having to say this, but when I saw this topic, I was like, we have to fucking talk about it. But then I was like, okay, I think I have to admit lah. I have to come back.
So how do you feel when you first heard about this? What this person?
It's damn annoying lah.
Annoying. Why?
Yeah. Okay, so my main annoyance is that when you go on these trekking trips, there's the belief that you should leave no trace.
Yes.
Even when you poop,
you
pick up your shit. Even like you literally are encouraged. Like there's a website for like about traveling to Everest. Everest Base Camp toilets, what you need to know. And even for pooping, you are told to not leave your poop around because at high altitudes the poop might not decompose. It'll just freeze.
Yeah.
So you bring everything with you. But for him to be so proud that he left it there, as the symbol that, the PAP flag is at 6,000 meters and all that, I think is damn stupid.
Does it make a difference that he didn't trek Everest versus being at the base camp? Because actually, for me, maybe I wasn't paying attention, but when I first read the article, I was assuming that he submitted Everest with the flag.
No.
And I was like, oh, okay. And then I did go down an Everest rabbit hole a couple of months ago where now I understand how Everest is. In my understanding, it's quite a vain pursuit. It's quite a vain pursuit that is not cheap, not affordable for most people, does not actually support the local economy of like Sherpas and everything very well, creates a lot of pollution, a lot of trash, and honestly demonstrates some of the worst parts of humanity in that you might see someone dying en route to trying to summit Mount Everest, but because of how much you paid and because of your obsession with getting to the top, you will leave them to die as opposed to try and help them, right? So for all those reasons, I think we had a discussion about this before. I actually see even summiting Mount Everest as generally a very narcissistic, quite a vain thing to do, which we can agree and disagree on.
Yeah.
But then this one is just base camp, right? Base camp is like a 5-year-old child could potentially even
it's
hit
still
base camp.
Tough lah.
Yeah, so what I'm asking is, him leaving a flag at base camp, it's not as bad as like polluting like the peak of Everest, right? Is it?
But it's still littering, right? Like, okay, if I were to go to MacRitchie and I leave a flag of, I don't know, my ancestors from Sindh at a tree, it's considered littering.
Yeah, vandalism, littering, something.
Right.
Yeah.
So why is it fine to do it at base camp? Because like I think that there's no place where they encourage people, oh, just leave stuff here. Base camp is still like 6,000 meters.
Okay.
Right? Any trash there that accumulates is going to have to be brought down or disposed of manually.
Yeah.
So to me, a flag that has no meaning to anyone else in Nepal is litter.
Okay.
And
So
for him to be so proud of it, like as though it's like, if someone else comes from Singapore and goes to Bukit Timah or Fort Canning and puts their flag there, we would be like, hey, don't
spoil the scene. But at the same time, people could say you're just nitpicking, like you're nitpicking on the environmental aspect of it. Or what about just let's say he didn't leave the flag. Let's say it was just a photo opportunity where he brought the flag up, took a photo, and it came down. Would that change your mind about this?
I mean, it would because if you took a photo, I mean, that's his thing People can take photos of random things as long as they're not like pulling their pants down and taking their photo there or something. When I take a photo, then it tells me more about him, which is subjective.
Okay.
But then you do your own thing.
Got it. So it's really just about the environmental thing that you have something against.
Yeah, and of course I'm like, wow, this guy it's like, okay, when you go to someone's wedding, and then part of their wedding speech, they say their school pledge.
Yes. Actually, that has.
Then I'm like, walao.
I've heard that. I believe that has happened for. Not the school pledge, at least the school motto, they shouting it.
Then all the people in the crowd
almost standing out to do the haka and everything. I was like, what the hell?
Then I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I don't know why there's something about like that about. I'm like, but I mean, objectively, what you got camaraderie with your mates, right?
Yeah.
What's wrong with that? But that's something off, lah.
Yeah. So I mean, that's where initially I started thinking like, this is carry balls, right? But after a while, I was like, okay, it sounds like he's been doing it for years. He's been a volunteer or maybe a grassroots leader. I don't know if it's a paid position or something. He's been doing it for years, many years already. 25 years ago already, he was bringing the flag up on his expeditions and all that. So this is just part of his identity. This is what he does. He's like that uncle that rides a bicycle that's strewn with the lights and everything, and they just ride around Bishan Park. Bit of a nuisance, right? But nobody actually reports him to police, because it's just what he does. So I actually, after thinking about it, I was like,
you okay?
I'm okay. It's not, I don't see it as like ball carrying. It definitely means something to him, right? The place, he's worked there, he's lived there. I don't know whether he's even like paid to do any of these things. But it's been 25 years. So it's not as cringy as I initially felt.
Really? You don't feel it's narcissistic?
It's not so much about him, right? It's okay. His relationship with Goh Chok Tong and Tan Si Leng, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know what the dynamics are in that relationship, right? So let's say if someone goes to Everest and then say, I'm bringing up a Yalabat flag right now, and I'm going to take a photo of Everest and everything. How would you feel about that if one of our fans did that?
So I mean, I would actually feel like, like that. There's a lot of meaning for that person, right? But okay, to me, this one, why it just feels like, okay, let's say that fan, right? They bring up a Yalabat sign. To me, it's like, okay, you really don't stand to gain anything from that, but yet you do it. So in some way, it's like, okay, that's a sincere shout out. In this sense, yes, he might say, I have nothing to gain from this.
Yeah.
But you look at it, you're like, really? Like, I'm sure when you walk into Marine Parade, the grassroots office, you'll be like, hey, I show you my pictures from Everest, then pop, PAP flag. Then, like, if you are the MP and all, it's like that. Of course, I'm speculating. He might be a lovely person with no agenda at all. But on the surface, it just feels like he can gain from this.
I see what you're saying.
And that's where I feel it's a bit like...
I mean, at the end of the day, being featured in the PAP newsletter is a big deal, right, for a volunteer?
Yeah.
That's true. It's even different from a job, right? Because a job, like even for your case, like when you got this flying squirrel on your head and everything, it was...
I wanted some for them to subsidize my trip.
There was a quid pro quo, right? But for this one, it's like, it's literally a political organization where it's about politics, right?
Yeah.
Where little gestures can actually be worth more than like actual monetary or anything kind of gains.
Yeah.
And so there's a very clear benefit that he could get from this, that we are, I guess you can say it's conjecture, but because it's literally a political organization, people politic with each other in a political organization, right? So carrying the flag up does probably confer more benefits than anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So I get where you're coming from, where it is quite cringy.
Can you imagine someone who wanted to just make like a New Year's card with the PAP flag?
Yeah.
You know, and he or she's so proud. And he sees this guy come back, hey, your flag on your card. Hey, bro, look, I got on Everest, Everest Base Camp. Because there was one also, one of my friends who did summit Everest.
Yeah.
Like, fucking great guy. And that's why I would disagree on the vanity thing and all. But that one is But at his wedding, he played the proposal video that he made for his wife. And he took it on the summit. Then you can see all the guys like, oh, thanks lah, dude. You just like have leveled up the proposal video for everyone else lah. But I mean, he was a great guy lah.
Okay.
But in this case, I don't know. It just feels like there's a bit too much overlap lah. If he was doing it for like, I don't know, Manchester United or something, then I'm like, okay lah, he's a hardcore fan.
You know, doesn't do anything for him. He's not going to become top fan of the world or anything like that.
Yeah,
right?
But people might also say, oh, if you do it, then you know, Man U might reach out to you and fly you for a game.
Okay lah, then I mean, but you still don't get promoted within Man U itself.
Yeah,
you're not part of the organization.
So in this case, then I'm like, then of course now, I mean, I never knew who this person was.
Yeah.
And then now he's appearing on the government newsletter, getting airtime. So I mean, it's great lah. It's like, you know, when the people who went to Friends of PAP meeting and so openly say, I'm doing this for business.
Yeah.
It's a bit of like,
okay.
Really then? But
no, yeah. I think you've convinced me lah. It is cringe lah. It is cringe. And then, yeah, we deserve to just have a laugh about it and cringe at it lah.
Yeah.
Because it is. I think like the comment said ball carrying or STL level. But to your earlier point about the wedding proposals, right? I'm a bit curious. Why were other guys in the audience like, oh, that has trumped whatever I planned for my wife and all that? Why is a wedding proposal at one of the remotest, furthest part of the world where the woman is not even there with him?
Oh, she was in Nepal. She went.
Yeah, but she's not at the summit with him, right?
Summit,
So there's completely separate. He sort of risked himself, and you could even die from summiting Everest. How is that? In what world is that a good proposal? You see, she's not even there to really enjoy the moment.
Yeah, I mean, like it didn't plague us for days, you know. We were just laughing about it at the table.
Okay, so you were mocking it,
Oh no. As in because this guy is such a great guy.
Okay.
So we knew that he wasn't doing it for show or something, and like he's really loved by like everyone that interacts with him. So we were like, it's just joke like, hey bro, don't spoil market lah. But I think none of us were actually reconsidering whatever plans we may have had at that point in time after seeing the video.
I see.
It was just at that moment like a joking thing, like, hey bro, like, hey, don't spoil market lah.
So if you had a choice, like to redo your wedding proposal, everything, and you had a chance to be at Everest, you know, without all the pain and the cost and everything, to do a proposal, would you choose to do it at Everest?
No, I won't.
You wouldn't, right?
I wouldn't. But to each his own.
To each his. Yeah, I was just trying to unpack why you all were feeling like that feeling.
No, because it's just like, you know, if you see someone plan an epic party and like, of course, it's not even healthy to, that person planned like that, got balloons, got rose, I want to do something like that.
Yeah.
You can almost match it.
Yeah.
But this one to match, right? Of course, you shouldn't want to match someone else's proposal, but it just felt like, walao. I mean, like you just fucking propose on Everest lah.
Correct.
Right. It's just a interesting, it's a cool story lah.
I can't wait for, in this case, I can't wait for the arms race where someone wants to summit Everest to bring the PAP flag up. And then after that, he'll one up.
Then go
guy.
K2.
Yeah.
Then outer space. You know when commercial fucking PAP flag there.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It'll be the next arms race.
Yeah, the next arms race. But yeah, at the end of it, you can argue about the subjectiveness of whether it's carrying balls or not. But leaving the flag there and being so proudly stating, you know, I left it there. That felt a bit like.
Wasn't this guy a inspiration for active aging?
Oh, I mean, he is
55 years old.
55 to go Everest Base Camp is like, oh.
And the training sounds like they climbed, you know, HDB flats, Bukit Timah Hill every weekend to train. So they trained properly lah. They didn't just like, oh, let's just on a whim, let's just go, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, that is the silver lining lah.
Yeah. And it's interesting also because recently there's been a lot of debates about, you know, Zuckerberg learning Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and martial arts and everything. And on Joe Rogan, I think Joe Rogan on a subsequent podcast, he was saying that, oh, you know, nothing makes you more libertarian than training for jiu-jitsu. And just basically saying that the hard work and the discipline involved in training jiu-jitsu, those are values that come with your political belief of being a libertarian. And a lot of people like flaming him, saying that you cannot just take whatever values within a sport and then just say that because of that, it aligns with this particular political beliefs. Because you could reverse engineer anything, whether it's communism or libertarianism or, being a liberal or anything. You can find some values or qualities in the martial arts and then after that project that those values onto the martial art.
Yeah.
But don't politicize it and make it feel like it's like the moment you do jiu-jitsu, it means that you are a certain political belief. Because that just alienates groups of people.
Yeah. That's like saying you play football on a team, there's no player bigger than the team.
Yeah.
The team has a shared responsibility. You communists.
Yeah, exactly.
You communists, communists.
Yeah. So I was listening to a commentary yesterday that when someone like Joe Rogan says something like that, it's not good for the sport, and it's not good for generally how politics is discussed in America. Right? So in some way, climbing Everest and bringing a political flag up there, also I don't find it it's not.
So all climbers, what political party flag you bring? Then all his friends also be like, bro, you come here to want to talk about government or then you bring your PAP flag.
Yeah. If anything, I don't feel like you climb a mountain, you should be thinking about, how small, minuscule we are in the grander scheme of things,
Yeah.
And not politicizing the event, right?
Yeah. But, it is what it is, man.
What it is, There will be people who keep doing this.
So if you go to base camp now, you will be reminded
of your political
inclinations. Yeah. Then suddenly someone bring Workers' Party, PSP, or just don't leave shit, man.
Yeah, just don't leave it behind.
Don't leave it behind.
Cool.
Yes.
Yes. And what is your one Shiok comment?
My one Shiok comment. Actually, there's a bunch of comments that were saying the same thing. Let me try and bring up at least one of the more recent ones that were very kindly pointing out that something that I said on a previous podcast about how you can't add yourself as a caregiver of someone on Health Hub without going down to the polyclinic. Apparently, it can be done. So that was a factual error on my part.
Yeah.
Maybe at some point it was not allowed, but now it's possible.
Yeah.
So let me just give a shout out to the most recent one, Iori2054 on Spotify. Just wanted to point out that, you can add yourself as a caregiver on the Health Hub app. No need to go down to polyclinic. Just need the other to authorize you in his or her own app. There were a few others, pardon me, but that's the most recent. So shout out to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
My one Shiok comment is, I think this one just came on our Reddit. From LaiSG18. Word of thanks. Just want to share, I started following you guys, but in the last election in 2020, I got very ill and was suffering from severe chronic pain. I was at the bottom of my life. I always had a keen interest in current affairs, but because of my condition, even reading any form of content was a big deal for me then. I started to pick up podcasts to substitute reading at that point and came across your channel. Listening to the podcast then provides great entertainment and comfort, as I couldn't do much with my physical limitations. It remains to be so today, even though I have recovered. So a big thank you for keeping me company when I was rock bottom, and I wish you guys greater success in what you're doing. Wow. You see, so I mean, that word comfort, is something that people don't think about when they ask, what's the big deal about podcasts? You all are the same as like radio or any other news media or talk show that comes with it. The word comfort tells you something about the relationship that podcasters can build with their audience, right?
Damn, man. Wow. Yeah. This is unreal, man.
Yeah. And I mean, pardon the slightly cynical sounding voice just now. It's just that I've been hearing a lot of this kind of what's the big deal about podcast kind of thing.
Literally, we heard it.
Yeah.
But wow, that's such a wonderful comment.
Yeah, it is. So shout out to LaiSG18, and I'm glad that you have recovered, and and glad that we are still part of your lives. Our flag is still flying at your Mount Everest Base Camp.
Metaphorically. Wow, what a nice comment there. Wow,
yeah.
That's amazing. Okay, cool. And what about your one Shiok thing?
Do you have yours already?
Yes, I do. It is a big shout out to Burnley Football Club and previous Yalabat guest Sean Bai. If you're listening to this, they're doing pretty damn well in the championship, man. They're sitting second. They have only conceded 9 goals in 26 matches. They have got 17 clean sheets, and I think they are on the cusp of breaking some defensive records. So all is looking like on track for them to actually potentially come back to the Premier League.
Oh, sweet.
How awesome is that, man?
Singaporean in the Premier League.
Wow, fucking cool. I mean, shout out to Sean Bai, shout out to your team. Holy shit, if you all make it to the Premier League, even if you don't, I'm definitely going to come by and watch a game at Burnley at some point. And hopefully in whatever special box you have. I mean, imagine doing Yalabat on site at Burnley.
Yeah. I mean, I think thanks for pointing this out. I'm going to start watching the championship games.
Yeah, it's amazing. And like, for those of you who don't know, we actually have a Singaporean who is the chief of staff of football at Burnley. And I think he joined when they were still in the Premier League towards the tail end.
Under Vincent Kompany.
Vincent Kompany, who has since left
for Bayern
Munich. And Scott Parker came on as a new manager and they've been doing well. And it's a Singaporean at a very senior position in an English football club.
Correct.
That could be a Premier League club again.
Oh, awesome.
Shout out to Sean, man. Awesome shit.
So shout out to all the Singaporeans who are making waves in football overseas. There's Sean Bai in Burnley. So you can watch him in the championship, which is the second division in the
after Premier League.
Premier League, right? And then also you can watch Daniel Tan, the 20-year-old Singaporean striker in Australia who plays for Brisbane Roar.
Solid. And I mean, if you want to listen to the podcast with Sean Bai, we did with Sean Bai, which was done remotely because he's overseas. We can put a link in the show notes. It was a great episode, and when he's next back, we would love to have him on again. Solid. Yeah, so that's my one Shiok thing.
Nice. I think just based on our recent episode and all, there's been someone posted a link to. Someone on Reddit, I think, posted a link to another video about Mark Zuckerberg's conservative evolution. So the video is titled Mark Zuckerberg's Conservative Evolution is so embarrassing. So it's by the Canonical. And it's an interesting half-hour video about the evolution of Mark Zuckerberg from what he was before to where he is now. And I think they really dig up a lot of old interviews and old pictures and all that of Mark Zuckerberg. And they talk about, he gives a bit of insight into how this new Zuckerberg happened, and apparently there was a very pivotal trip to Japan.
Was it?
Zuckerberg went to Japan and he learned how to make katana swords. And he also learned how to dress differently. And he came back starting to wear a chain around his neck and, with his hair grown out. And he also explained the origins. Zuckerberg used to have this really high fringe haircut and all. And a lot of people are speculating that he was basically just trying to emulate Roman emperors, Julius Caesar kind of haircut. And that was his obsession. He has an obsession with the Roman
As in his
Empire.
New haircut?
No, his old haircut.
Oh, okay.
Now he's let it out. He's a MMA bro already. But this video goes into all these examples of how he's shown his how he's slowly evolved over time. And you can see it in the way he dresses in social media and all, and it breaks it down to the nuances of what he says and does. So it was quite interesting because they also make the point that at the end of the day, Elon Musk is now making at least within certain circles, people feel that he's making a fool of himself, right? With bots and burner accounts and stuff like that on X. And
apparently faking his gaming powers.
So he's almost become a bit of a laughing stock. Whereas Zuckerberg and Bezos in some way have not had that kind of that level of scrutiny, or at least they know how to handle their own PR a bit more carefully. But make no mistake that a lot of stuff that Zuckerberg does is still morally bankrupt. That's what that's the whole point that he's saying. That you watch a Joe Rogan podcast, yes, like me, I felt like, make Zuckerberg feel more human. But there's a lot of things he does behind the scenes that still point towards someone who doesn't give a shit, the same kid that you watched in the social network and all. So it's a pretty interesting video, and thanks to the reader on Reddit who pointed it out to us. Let me see if I can just quickly.
Oh, but it's a thing, the Caesar cut.
Yeah, the Caesar cut. That's right. Yeah.
The hair is layered to 2 to 5 cm all over.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this was from Internet Lurker 96, who's a long-time listener. So yeah. Yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
Damn. But yeah. Cool, man. Thanks for listening, everyone. So if you enjoyed the podcast, remember, share it with people, Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Spotify, and Reddit. And if you want to work with us,
please reach out to us at ministryoffunny.com or email us at contact@ministryoffunny.com.
Cool, man. Thanks, everyone, and talk to you all soon.